Um, it's something that we've gotten I think we used to be really bad at. I think we've gotten a lot better in the last number of years. So how? I mean, I'm not going to put a figure on it, but suffice to say that whatever we agree to do now, or whatever we propose to do, it is the time that's spent doing that correlates very clearly with a financial, compensation. Let's just put it that way. So, my mother still asks me, and I think it's lovely. She, I tell her so for example, I told her a couple of days ago, I'm doing this interview, and she, without fail, if I tell her anything I'm doing, she says, "Are you getting paid for that?" So I think that was something in the beginning that we didn't always do. In fact, for the first couple of years, we didn't pay ourselves properly. But I think we did it because, well, first of all, I can speak personally. I was in a completely different situation then. I didn't have, I didn't have a family. I didn't have those kind of responsibilities. So, and I had other part-time jobs. So maybe I felt I could afford to spend time on this kind of project with Feidlim that I believed would, kind of get me a little bit further along to that sort of financial kind of sustainability. That took maybe 8 years before we could pay ourselves sort of regularly, sort of like consistently. So there was a lot of work that we did for really rubbish money. But I think now it's like, we kind of mirror we kind of take a leaf out of the Arts Council's playbook in terms of, because they would be our primary funder, as would be the case for most kind of, most theatre practitioners and artists. And I guess we just follow what they prescribe, which is basically make sure that what you're engaged in is kind of properly budgeted for, and that everyone is paid kind of, equitably and fairly. So, but our time, I think we certainly value it a lot more highly than we did in the initial stages, and I think we find ourselves swatting away a lot of things that aren't we used to spend a lot of times having meetings that really didn't need to happen. A lot of time was wasted. So I think we're kind of almost too busy now to entertain ourselves, kind of talking around in circles. So every time we meet up, it's for quite a particular purpose, and we have a particular kind of thing that we're working toward. So and it's paid. Yeah. So we do less of the kind of, let's meet this person and talk about whatever, vague thing. If there's if it's something we're genuinely kind of interested in, and it's going to benefit us, or we see a benefit, then we'll certainly have a meeting. But we do less now of the sort of just meet up, or just kind of, spend time chatting, because we're too busy now for that.
I started off not actually, because as an artist, right? I thought, okay, I need to, I cannot do anything else but devote my time to this art form, to dance, street dance, and went to New York. I got the information that I needed from the pioneers of the art form. I was living there. I done a lot of street shows, like, street shows. That's where I survived. Even when in Ireland, in Dublin, for about 4 or 5 years. I was doing street shows and paying my bills like that, you know. And I had this concept of like I had a lot of time, right? But I feel like my art or my dance or was not improving, even though I'm saying, oh, I have a lot of time. I should be getting better. And then, so that's number one. So number two, I have a MSc in electronics engineering, applied electronics engineering, and so on and so forth. And so I applied. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go get a real job, you know, a real job. And then when I got the real job, I figured out that I was spending less and less time on my art, and I was almost feeling the exact same. So now I'm using. So in the first instances, I was complaining that I had too much time and my dance wasn't going anywhere. The second instances is I applied myself in the corporate world, whereby I got my job 9 to 5, whatever. And by the time I come home in the evening, I was shattered, I was wrecked. So I wasn't applying much time. So I took a step back and I said, I must be doing something wrong here. So it means that even if I have a lot of time, I'm not progressing as an artist. If I don't have enough time, I'm still not progressing as an artist. So what am I doing wrong here? I thought all artists that have a lot of time should be creating, should have like time. And I feel like a lot of procrastination came in, a lot of lack of discipline came in that space where you have a lot of time. There's a lot of self-actualization skills or interpersonal skills that are very needed, you know, in that space, you know, because I know a lot of artists that are kind of blasé about things and go, oh, sure, blah, blah, you know, oh, I'm an artist, you know, this. But also in the corporate world, it's very strict. You know, you need all of that. You know, you need all of that. You know, so I suppose because now I can take from both. Now I can now find the balance of my time, whereby I have to be like the corporate world, whereby it's lenient, there's no room, you have to be here at this time, you have to do this. There's no like, oh, let the inspiration come, you know, it takes a longer, nah, there's, you know, you understand? Yes, of course, sometimes, and obviously sometimes not. So now anyways, I am very regimented. So my time to train or to be in my space every day, 5 days a week, and I take my weekends off. Although on most weekends I'm still doing something dance related, but I'm not moving. But during the days, I have a time, and now my family, my friends, they know that time. They know Toby is unreachable at this time. You know, I don't attend to my phone, to anything. I'm just in my space for that 1 hour and a half. And I manage my time like that. And when it comes to doing some dance stuff, because yes, because like the previous question, because we feel we're using the entrepreneurship approach. We think we have to be available 24/7 because we're doing this by ourselves. So I had to be strict to myself that no, I'm gonna have a time whereby I attend to dance and to my art. I will have a time where I attend to my work. I will have a time. So everything now is in blocks. You understand? I will have a time where I do nothing. There's time for that. Where I do absolutely nothing. I pig out. Netflix, literally, or play my game, you know, Call of Duty, you know. Like I do nothing.
Well, yeah, there's so many ways you can answer this. Of course, like, I think it's down to self-confidence for like evaluating your time. Like, you have, for me, two aspects of it. There's obviously the monetary aspect of it, and also the value of time is like what's time you spend for actual client work, what time do you spend on your own personal practice and your own personal evolution, which is a hard balance to get. Like I'm trying to juggle with that a little bit, because on one end, if you're an entrepreneur, you kind of have to meet your rent and your expenses and stuff. But at the same time, you just want eventually to have more time and more space to grow your own artwork and personality and your own business as like the things that make you want to get up in the morning and getting these things done. And I struggle with that a little bit, just allocating the right amount of time to both, allocating an amount of time to the work that will be able to pay the bills, allocating something for inspiration, or some time for just personal practice. It can be hard to separate them, and to, like, I could almost get weeks without doing any creative work, although I'm doing some creative work for client, but I feel like I'm not drawing, I'm not experimenting, I'm just kind of on robot mode, and that can be quite frustrating. And I feel like I need to get back to that kind of personal space to try to create something for myself, not to be seen, not to be posted, not to be monetized in some way or whatever. And I think that's the most valuable time. That's a really personal practice, introspection, that holds the most value and that will make you grow as a person, like your own practice and your own person. Because I think if you keep doing that robot mode of the things you know how to do for too long, you're not going to explore different things, you're not going to really grow your practice. So in my opinion, that's the most valuable time, and that's where I'm trying to strike a balance onto, like, getting to a space where I will be able to have enough to pay my bills and my rents, etc., to allow a maximum time of that personal work.
I'd say now, to be honest, valuing my time is something I could really work on, and I'm constantly trying to ensure that I try to value it, because with working in the arts, and you see, I'm a teacher as well, right? So I work like primary school 9 to 3 o'clock, and then I'm going into like the arts mode from like 3:30. Now that could go into 10, 11 at night. And then with we have a small team. One girl works once a week, 1 day a week with us on the festival, and then another girl from Italy works 5 days a week. And often it could go 10, 11 at night. So I had to, like last year, I had to like start putting things in place to start pulling that back, because you just get burnt out, and you know, you're not able to think straight or make proper good decisions when you're like that tired and worn out. So I'm definitely getting better, I would think, at valuing my time. Like nothing goes past 6 o'clock anymore. My phone is off, like that's gone. I try to, as much as possible. I am always kind of, you know, because the phone is the devil, because you're looking at your email and then you're checking Facebook stuff, and I have 9 accounts to be looking at. Now it is managed by somebody doing social media on our team, but at the same time you can't help, like when you see like loads of like likes or notifications coming in about something, and you're like, oh God, you know. So I try to 6 o'clock. I'm getting better, but I definitely could get better.
Well, again, value in terms, if we want to translate the value into money, you know, that then I don't value myself at all, but I value really. You know, it's really, yeah, I don't know if the value is the right word, and I don't know if I can answer this question, David, because for the moment you wake up, you know, the moment you go to sleep, you know, most of your time really, and in my case, you spend you really spend working as an artist, really, and that's it. Like you don't have to make an art, but you observe, you write notes, you know, you talk to people, you gather the information, so you are, and then one day it's that kind of blah. The easiest thing really is to click, for example, on the photo camera, click, that's easy. Get the frame, click, that's easy, you know, but prior to that, all the research, all the accumulation of the knowledge, that's the serious work, you know, and it starts it's every day. So
no, I used to work over weekends. I used to work all evenings. Weekends went a couple of years ago. Evenings are gone now. You know, I need a lot more time to do a lot fewer things in a lot better ways. In saying that, you know, things are so instinctual now. You do things, you know, relatively quickly, maybe to somebody with less experience. But yeah, time and nourishment from living, work-life balance, family, outdoors, whatever, all of these things have become equally as important and as satisfying as work.
Yeah.
Difficulty in costing my time. Yes, I just applied for a research grant from the European Cultural Foundation. They have opened a call. I mean, the second time I've applied and the success rate is only about 1%. But I struggled to find ways to support this type of endeavour. And they were looking for cultural projects that would be suitable post-pandemic to connect relationships between European creative practitioners. So, yeah, and when I went through the budget of trying to price myself, my business mentor said, look, you're suffering from what a lot of creative people do. You don't put a value on your time. You're so eager to get the work out there, you're forgetting to pay yourself, do you know? So,
you get lost in the music, and it's pretty hard to start. Like when I started having my own small studio and the bigger studio now, you start to think to yourself, am I marketing myself as a producer, or am I marketing myself as a studio? So to start, you go, no, it's a studio, and it's, you know, €30 per hour, and that doesn't work like in creativity. You learn that pretty quick. So how do I value my time? Like I don't charge per hour because, first of all, I don't want that pressure, and I don't want to put that pressure on the artist either. So again, we're back into this art versus commerce. It's not like if you're working for, let's say, a retail company, you're on a per hour thing, you clock in, you clock out, and that's it. It's quite different when you're creating, as you know, as everyone knows.
I had to put the structures in place, you know, so that I valued my time, because I just did value my time, because I know how much time I have to put into doing what I do. But in order for the people that I lived with to value my time, I did have to talk about it on occasions. And I did have a few typed sheets attached to my door. And one time I had one up that said something like, don't call me unless somebody dies, you know? That was for my daughter, my older daughter, who used to kind of walk in and out whenever she felt like it. So I had to say, I'm at work. And she understood it, but it took a while, you know. And there would have been things like that because the space is attached to the house, it can be seen as if you're there and available. Whereas it's different if the studio was somewhere else and I had to go to it. Well, then I just wouldn't be there, you know. So I think because it was in the house, I did, and I have heard other artists saying they can't get anything done when they're at home. But there's a door, there's two doors. So a few signs went up at times, just I'm at work and, you know, don't call me at all. You know? Things like that.
Different parts to it. So I used to value my time through my 20s and probably being a little bit destructive and flippant with it. And I think that's down to probably not valuing myself enough. I value my time now because I realize it's a very valuable commodity, and I want to, you know, I almost like unhealthily sometimes put a little bit too much pressure on myself to get stuff done, and sort of, you know, in the inner voice give out to myself a little bit. If I'm not being productive, or if I'm hungover and I'm wasting a day, or, you know, set goals. But then, you know, I'm developing on from that. I've tried to then practice a bit more patience with myself. When it comes to then time, like evidence sort of, I would compartmentalize it a bit in terms of business and painting, and I'd be like, oh, you need to paint this amount of time to be a great artist, or you would think, again, it's this linear mindset where you think, oh, people in business mightn't really understand visual artists so much because they might see them going out for fucking smoke every 10 minutes and chatting for ages to go for a drink. But if the person is similar to me, you're always clocked on, you're always thinking. It's just, so if you put it in context of a painting, like a great painting that I might take someone a month to do, let's say an average of painting will take me a week to paint. 90% of that is a lot of chin wagging and thinking and walking away from it, and then the 10% of it is actually executing it. So for someone that doesn't do that and isn't in that creative practice, it's sort of hard for them to value it. But it's fucking like a game of chess a little bit, like, you know, how often do you move the piece in comparison to how much you think about it? So you really need to sort of break that structure of what they have in their mind of going in that 9 to 5, and if you send out 100 emails and you send a amount of reports, so that's productive. It's a different way of working, and it's hard for anyone to really understand that until you do it, like, you know. But I value it quite a lot, and I would get, and I know that through error, because I will push it and force it, but like, I need to paint, and I'll just fucking ruin a painting, you know, and I've spent loads of time previous to that thing. So I you know, I was going to paint there, and it's like 25 to 3 now. I'll paint maybe at 5 o'clock, and so this that, yeah, and then yeah, it's a multi-layered conversation that you have with yourself all the time. But time is definitely it's different, and you have this sense of immediacy when you want to produce, because your mind works faster than real life as well. So you'd be painting a piece and you're already onto your third piece, so you're battling with time there as well. It's a tricky one.